G'day and welcome to Oly35mm, user-based, quasi-empirical, cheap and cheerful videos on Olympus 35mm cameras. And this, folks, today is the penultimate episode of the Oly35mm 2015 project, where I decided to get as many Olympus cameras as I could and find out as much as I could about them, and that is Olympus 35mm cameras only. And I wanted to have the last series overview, this great big wad of SLR cameras. It to me epitomises what Olympus is all about. It's great build, great quality, great features, great innovation, and you are now looking at 30 years of history from 1972. Admittedly, I don't have an M1, but that was when the M1 came out, through to 2002 when the OM3 Ti and OM4 Ti actually saw the end of the Olympus OM line. So 3 decades of fantastic cameras. Started in 1972, Photokina 1972, the M1 was shown, blew the world away. Cameras were heavy, 35mm cameras, and others were even heavier, of course. 35mm were heavy units, and this gave a light alternative to professional photographers. The OM1 came out in 1973, followed by the OM2 in 1975, and in 1975 this particular model actually came out. That was the MD version of the OM1. And in 1979 there were 3 models came out. There was the OM2N, which this is one, the OM1N, which this isn't, this is an old OM, and the first of the consumer OMs, and that was the OM10. Automatic, easy to use for people, but with a manual adapter that could be bought separately, or if you're lucky enough to be in the US with the FC, you actually got that thrown in. But as you got better with your photography, then you could buy yourself a manual adapter. Then in 1983, a whole pile came out. There was the OM2. That was 1984 actually, the OM2 SP spot program. So we've got program features. We still had automatic, and we had a spot metering section in manual only. This is a bit of a, I don't know, it's sort of a no man's land sort of camera. This one, not quite consumer and not quite professional, but you know, look, still a very good unit, and had some very interesting features. In 1983, as I was saying, some others came out. The OM3 and the OM4, of which this is an OM4 Ti, came out a little bit later. The OM3 and the OM4 were the new professional series of cameras, but also you had the Olympus OM20, and in this case the OMG. This actually came out before Oh My God came out, the saying, but I had to buy myself one of these rather than OM20. So 1983, the OMG came out, or the OM20 came out, and that had auto and manual together, so you didn't have to worry about one of these manual exposure jobs, manual adapters. It was already built into the camera. In 1983, the OM30 came out as well, or OMF as it was known in the US, and they were starting to play around with autofocus. The 35 to 70 millimeter f4 zoom got an autofocus upgrade, and the OM30 was brought out to complement that, and you actually had little indicators in the viewfinder of the whether you were in focus or not, and you could actually use it with the manual focus lenses as well. Unfortunately, I've had 2 of these, and both of them, that section has actually broken. Admittedly, one was broken when I first bought it, and this one broke while I've been using it. Who knows, it just stopped working. Now, I should say too that the OM20 didn't replace the OM10. The OM10 and the OM20 went hand in hand for some time, until about 1987, I think. In 1984, there was another camera that came out, and that was the Olympus OM4, sorry, the Olympus OM10, I'll get it right in a moment, got too many numbers going on here. The Olympus OM10 quartz date came out in 1984. It was an all black body. It looked pretty awesome, I must admit, and that actually had a quartz date function on the back. Not a big selling point these days, but at the time it was pretty cool. In 1985, the OM40 came out, and I've done a video on the OM40. As far as I'm concerned, this is probably the top of the consumer line. I won't tell you any more about it. You can watch my video. And in 1986, the OM3 finished, and it wasn't until 1995. Sorry, that's not an OM3. I haven't got one of those. The OM3 finished in 1986 and didn't come back around until 1995, and it ran through to 2002. The OM4, this is an OM4 Ti, the OM4 ran from 1983 through to 1987 and was replaced by the titanium chassis version, the OM4 Ti, which ran through to 2002. Now, there were some others as well, and I've done individual videos on them, so I'm not going to bring them up here. They didn't have the same functionality as the rest of the OM series cameras, so I'm not going to share them with you. But they were the OM 707 or 77, which was the American version in 1984. The OM 101 or OM 88 in America, which came out in 1986. And then the OM 2000, which gets derided quite a bit because it was a casino-built model, and that came out in 1997, and that ran through till 2002 when the OM line stopped, along with the OM4 Ti and the OM3. Any one of these cameras is a beaut camera to use. Probably my least impressed is the OM30. I didn't like the idea that the shutter button, sorry, the shutter dial was down the side. That's quite hard to use. Also, that ridiculous focusing thing just doesn't work after a while. But look, it's a good camera. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just I don't think it's functionally as good as some of the others. The OM40 is probably a bit of a favourite in the consumer line. The OM1 is my all-time favourite camera, followed very closely by the OM4 Ti, followed then again by the OM2. So these, given the fact that they don't command professional prices anymore, you really need to start looking at why you would go for one of the consumer ones when you could buy a second-hand professional one. But that's entirely up to you. Hey, with some of the prices around, I've bought some for $20 per body. You know, maybe you can afford a few, who knows. So that's the OM system. 3 decades of fantastic engineering. Started off by Yoshihisa Maitani. There, as far as I'm concerned, one of the all-time camera design geniuses. You know, not far behind Oscar Barnack, who was the Leica designer. Fantastic system from there. There's several lenses, 60 or so lenses I think they made to suit these. There was a flash system, there was a macro photography system as well. There was a micro photography system, so you could put them onto microscopes and things like that. There was a small amount of astrophotography, although that wasn't, you know, they were more about little things than they were about big things. There was a motor drive system for sports photographers. There was a data back system. There was 250 film backs. There was copy stands. There was filters, you know, you name it. There was this incredible amount of system stuff, and it fitted most of these. Most of the stuff fitted most of these cameras that you see here today. So thank you very much for sticking with me for the 2015 project, if indeed you have been doing that. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for listening to this video. Thank you very much for watching this video. There's one more to go. We'll see you next time.